Yeah, so I just jumped into one of your videos and you were speaking about how, yeah, it's taken you like quite a long time to like make the improvements, but like it's just been like a bit of a road for you. So are there any points on that road where you were like had like some moments of realization, or was it more just like building that like inner confidence that made you able to like be successful woman?
Yeah. Yeah, I think honestly, so like for anyone that I don't know how many of you guys watch like my YouTube stuff, but basically, for anybody that doesn't know like my story, like I've basically been doing this since I was 18. So I started when I was 18. I'm 25 now, almost 26, and I basically went from like pretty shy. Like if I was ever in a class with a girl, like I basically just I knew that the girl wouldn't like me. Like I knew that like whatever girl I liked, she just wouldn't like me. Which was like pretty low confidence, but also it was just like kind of true. I just like didn't know how to talk to girls. Um, and so when I was like 18, I found like these like prank videos and stuff, like how you can talk to girls or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, like you just go up and talk to people. So I started like getting a cold approach, like pickup artist shit. Um, and then like some like red pill content, I guess. Even though I don't really like say that I'm like red pill. It's more like just literally just like whatever works. So I've gotten coached along the way, and basically I went from kind of sucking like a lot to like an intermediate level where I'm like getting laid with like girls I'm like happy with or like kind of happy with but kind of not. And then now it's like to the point where like I'll post sometimes in the girl tribe. Like there was like a day last week where I went on like basically three like instant date type things with like just random chicks that I just met. So like basically anywhere I go I feel like I can get women. So at what point, like, so basically I made a video today on like how it was a very like long process. And how I was like really focused at the time on like, okay, 6 months, I'm gonna get this problem solved. Um, but it never actually ended up like that. So I think like the biggest realization for me during that time was that like just enjoy the wins that you get along the way, because you're gonna have like times, like all of you guys, when you're working on your dating life and like becoming more high value, like you're gonna have a lot of times where it feels like you're just like really you're like accidentally falling into pussy. Like you're just gonna like be getting crazy results, and like it's gonna feel like you have it all figured out, and then you're gonna go through a dry spell, and that's just like the universe like course correcting, like, hey, by the way, like you're not actually that good. And that happens like a lot. So like it doesn't happen to me really anymore. But that's because like I'm like 7 years into this shit. And I've also gotten to the point where when I was 18, pretty much all I had to offer was like game. Like 19, 20, I was like broke, like didn't have shit. Still like relatively compared to like, people that are actually like very successful, I'm pretty broke, but like compared to like the average like college girl, she's like, oh shit, you have money. And so like now I have some more value, so it's way more consistent. But at first, like I just all I had to offer was game. So I would say just like enjoy, like just understand that like you're gonna have like peaks and valleys like a lot, and it's gonna be like a really long process. Um, but like the wins in the middle, that's actually what makes all this shit worth it. Like it would have really sucked if I went like, and I probably still would have done it because I just, I mean, you don't become a dating coach without like overcompensating for like not getting pussy for a long time. But like, I still would have done it, gone through all the pain. But like, I mean, I've gotten laid a lot while I'm learning and like while I'm getting better. I mean, it's not like I'm not learning anymore. So I would say just like understand that like when you start getting results, you are not done. So like that's how like whenever I post testimonials or whatever of clients, it's like they start getting laid when they join the program, and some guys they might get laid a lot, and that might go away. And it's not because like the program doesn't last. It's not because like coaching doesn't work or whatever. It's literally just because like that's how life works. Like they got to a new level, and then their new baseline allows them to like get maybe one date every month, and then sometimes they have no dates for 3 months, but then they fuck 3 girls in a weekend or whatever, and it's like holy shit, I'm crazy. But really, when you balance it out, it's like it's more relaxed. So I don't know. Does that like answer your question?
Yeah, man. It's yeah, interesting. Like just getting into like yeah, just trying to trust the process of it, I guess.
Yeah.
In terms of more like practical tips for like cold approach and stuff, I've seen
Mm.
like a couple videos on it. And like one thing they always, or yeah, one tip is like just don't think about it. Like just immediate action is like the best way to just like make that initial approach. Would you agree? And like, would your general one just be like, oh, this is real random, but I want to speak to you, or like, uh, yeah,
Um, yeah, I would say that just like going is the most important thing. Like actually I had in the last like honestly in the last like hour, there were like 2 or 3 times where I could have approached a girl and it was like pretty it would have been pretty easy, but I just didn't because I didn't take action immediately. Like it's one of those things where like I make eye contact with her and I'm like kind of turned toward her and then I could have just been like, "Oh, hi. What's up?" and just like introduce myself, but I didn't. And then it like feels weird. Or then it like feels like less natural. Um and so yeah, just like talking to her immediately, even if you make a fucking dumbass out of yourself, like that's way better. Um like the amount of times that like I've just made a total fool of myself, uh just when I was like 18 or 19 learning this shit is like I can't even count. So like you just gotta yeah, I mean just talking to women at all, that's better than not talking to women. Like that's like the short answer. Um Obviously there's better ways to do it than not. Like if you have enough like the thing is a lot of times guys will be like it kind of freeze up in the moment. And so you don't really have when you're first starting out, like as much as like guys want to say like there's like scripts and shit that you can follow, like you don't really have the capability, like the brain power, when you're that nervous when you're starting to like change up what you're gonna say. Like you're gonna go up and say hi, and your brain's gonna say whatever the fuck it's gonna say, and you don't have control over it. Like I've definitely been in a lot of those scenarios. Um, so you need to get comfortable with approaching first, and just be comfortable being in front of a girl like that you're attracted to, and like just talking to her out of nowhere, and then you can start worrying about what to say. Because like I remember the first like few times I would get into interactions, like I would have an idea of what I wanted to say, and it's like when you actually talk to her, it's all out the window. Like you just like if you stick too hard to like what you wanted to say in the first place, like you just start stumbling over your words, you start fucking mumbling and shit, and say shit that doesn't make sense. You talk over her, and you don't acknowledge the things she says. Like she says something, and you just completely ignore it, and like keep saying your line or whatever. Um, and it's just brutal. It's just not good. So I would say like that's probably like the most like the best advice I have as far as like getting is literally just talking to women as much as possible, like talking to people too, but like getting used to being in front of women because when I'm in a flow state where I'm used to being in front of girls and like having their attention on me and her being attracted to me, say like I just get done with like a date. So say I go like get coffee with a girl at like noon or something, and then I see a girl at a coffee shop I'm working at 2 or 3 p.m. Like I'm so loose, I can literally go up to that girl surrounded by people that like might judge me or whatever and just be like, "Hey, what's up? Hi." And then I'm just like talking to her. I'm super relaxed, super chill, and just like I can have like a really good experience with that girl because I can just act like I belong there. Like a big reason that guys do really bad in cold approach is like they act like they don't belong. So like that's why on one hand I like the whole I do like falling back on like the whole like, oh, this is random, I just want to meet you, it's kind of crazy or whatever. But also at the same time it's like if you feel like you belong there, if you feel like, hey, like you're like my long lost girlfriend, like that's you know I can just act like that with you, then that's like the place you want to be. You know, you want to be able to like assume a familiarity, right? Um, but that's where I would.
Cool.
Cool.